Welcome to Straight Lines. This is where life lessons meet leadership, where business gets a front row seat, and where you will get a blueprint for success. Whether you are managing a team, building a brand, or just trying to lead yourself better, you are in the right place. Because here on Straight Lines, we believe the shortest distance between purpose and progress is truth, clarity, and action. Straight Lines brought to you by Blue Book Sports. Blue Book Sports has been the game's trusted directory since 1909, and now it's where businesses connect directly with players, parents, and coaches. Create a profile, promote your services, and join the community. If your business wants to stand out, it's time to get in the book. Download Blue Book Sports today from Apple or Google Play. Really excited today to have really special guest with us, former Major League manager, yeah, great guy. Played at the U as well, University of Miami, and was a Cuba native born. Left Miami, I went to Miami. I grew up there. Marlins manager from 2007 to 2010. Braves 2011, 2016. You're back there last year, right? Third base coach. We are so happy to have, and Team USA. We're going to talk about that a little bit. But so happy to have Fredi González. Skipper, thank you so much for being with me.
Well, Skipper, thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this conversation since that first text you shot me about 3 weeks ago. Both of us are not working in baseball. So anytime I get a chance to talk baseball, I jump at it because we talked off there a little bit. You miss some stuff you miss, obviously, but there's a lot of stuff that you don't miss. So, but I'm hopefully get another opportunity to get back in the dugout or help someone in an organization and stay connected somehow.
Yeah, there's some dominoes falling. That's for sure. I think there'll be some more coming. I noticed you coached in 1,402 games, right? In big league games. Yeah. I retired at 1,401 games. College games. Not quite the same,
but you know what, Tim? Your 1,400 takes a lot longer than my 1,400. I did it like in 10 years. We play 162 games a year. Yeah. You did it in 38 years. Did you? Yeah, that's a long career in coaching and winning ball games at your level. Yeah.
36 years. Yeah. It was a good run, but whatever. Yeah. It's still the game. The game's great, right? I want to ask you real quick. What age were you when you came from Cuba to Miami?
I was 2 years old. I was born in 1964. And I was the oldest of three, but all my siblings were all born in Cuba. The youngest one, my brother, was I think 8 months old. So we were, my mom and my dad, it was bang, 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 three of us. And so I was 2 years old in Miami in 1966 and lived there all my life, other than when I got with the Braves. I went to Atlanta, and then and then I got remarried, and my wife's from this area up here, and I'm up here outside Philly in Phoenixville. And I was kidding my wife this winter, because this winter was, for a Cuban born and lived in Miami all his life, it was pretty cold this winter. And I told my wife, hey, we're going the wrong way. Our age, we got to be going south, not going north. But
this was a brutal winter.
It was brutal. That's what she keeps telling me. But but I do enjoy the area. I enjoy the fall. I enjoy the spring. It's so unpredictable this spring. I'm kind of learning the spring. It gets 80 degrees 1 week, and then you're playing golf in shorts, and the next day you're in a parka, the next week. So, but she promised me that the next couple of weeks she's gonna stabilize a little bit.
Yeah, well, we hope so. They say in Pennsylvania, you can experience all 4 seasons in one day. Right?
Yeah. I get that.
It's unbelievable. I wanted to ask you, Fredi, you managed in the big leagues for a number of years and seen, you're player development guy. Really, you really worked with known for working with younger guys and develop them. But but from terms of team and the managing, and I think we're seeing it with the Phillies a little bit. We have all this talent, but they don't win. Well, they've won consistently, but with the train's off the rails a little bit right now. So
Right.
what's the difference between, teams with talent versus and that don't win consistently to teams that have that chemistry, I guess, and how big is chemistry?
You know what? There's a lot of people that are going to debate me that there is no that chemistry is not a thing. You know, and those are the people that have not been in the clubhouse. Those are the people that have been on good clubs, are the ones that are going to say no. That doesn't exist. It's not about that. It's about the numbers and there's I've had teams that have been really really good teams roster wise that have not won, and I have been in teams that were just kind of mediocre, and they have won because the chemistry and that they pull for each other, and you don't have four superstars. You have five guys that are good ball players that show up every day and work and be good teammates. And I think that's the case. Look at the Milwaukee Brewers last year. That nobody knew who they were, and they made a hell of a run. I think they had the best record in baseball at the end of the year. Maybe the Dodgers were, but it's what you need to have both, right? You need to have both. I think at the end, the most talented team's going to win, especially if you have talent on the mound. I think positionally wise, you get away with, not having a great team offensively, but if you have a great bullpen and great starting rotations, you're going to win day in and day out.
It always comes down to the guy in a bump. Always
Always
begins and ends with that guy.
Always.
Yeah.
And Tim, you know this better, being a former pitcher or pitching coach. It doesn't matter which level. It doesn't matter if it's high school, Division III, Division I, minor leagues, big leagues. 12 and under. It's whoever you got on the bump. And my dad told me really young. He goes, "What is the only position in the field that is elevated?" And I go, I think about it a little bit. I go, yeah, the pitcher's mound. He goes, that's how important that position is. It's the only one that's elevated. It's always stuck on me, and he's not all wrong, right? He's not all wrong.
No, it's I should tell it's higher for a reason.
Yeah.
So you go do the job, but it always
Right.
begins in it. It's interesting that you mentioned the chemistry thing. I think people do think, on a big league level, they go about the business, which they do. But I mean, they celebrate the success of others. They're good kids, right? They're good teams. They pick each other up, and I think that's true, and I think it's great to hear that from you. So what happens when it goes sideways? What happens?
The manager.
They fired a manager.
They
Right?
fired the manager.
Yeah.
So, but it could go sideways, and you know what, and you got to have. You can't do it all yourself, especially in the big league level. You got to have coaches around you that have a pulse of that clubhouse, because you don't want to be in the clubhouse, day in and day out, every single hour of the day, keeping track of what's going on. But you need to have a pulse of what's going on, because fires could start at anything or at any time for anything, and you need your coaching staff to be covering not covering your back, but just making sure that the little problems, the little issues that are happening in the clubhouse or happening with teams that do not create big issues. And the only thing they need you to, and I used to tell my coach, he goes, just tell me what's going on, just in case nothing. I don't want to be surprised. I don't want to be because we're all human beings. We all, especially in the big league levels, that have families and we have kids that probably didn't sleep all night, and you got to come play for a day game. They're sick, and your wife's sick. So just let me know what's going on so I can address it just in conversation, right? If I need to, if a coach of mine says, "Hey, this is going on," I took care of it. No need for you to address it, and I'll leave it at that. But it gets complicated in the major leagues, because you got the ego, you got the money, you got not the money, but you got the salary, and it gets a little complicated. I find that the hardest thing to manage than it is to manage a Major League Baseball game. You have 25 guys, 26 guys, and I don't even know what the split was. 10 guys are happy that they're happy, and then the other 15 are unhappy because they're not playing or you're not putting them in positions. So there's always something coming down the pike. There's always a knock on your office door, and it's usually, being a Major League manager, usually when that knock on the door comes, it's usually not good news, whether it's the trainer, whether it's the general manager, whether it's a player. There's always something, whether it's a coach or whether it's an issue, there's always something. But at the end of the day, it's fun. It really is fun to manage games in the big leagues. And there's only 30 of us that have done it at any given year. And when you're losing games, Tim, and I think this could say for any level, when you're losing games, you feel like you're never going to win a game. And then when you're winning in a winning streak, right, it's like you feel like you're never going to lose a game. You can't wait for the next one. And it doesn't matter how you win, like a walk-off wild pitch, or it doesn't matter when you're shaking hands at any level after a game in the big league or in baseball. It's a fun. It's a drug. It's adrenaline. It's fun. It's nothing beats it, and at least for us baseball people.
Oh, no doubt about it. Ed Ott, spent a little time with Ed Ott with Downtown Ambassadors 20 years ago. He used to say, as long as we score one more run than the other team, we're happy. And I'm like, okay, I like that. Tommy Lasorda would be like, well, my goal is to keep the guys that like me and the guys that don't like me, and take the guys in the middle and keep them away from the guys that don't like me.
That's exactly right. I was trying to find that analogy, and I got stuck. But that's exactly right, and he's so right about that, and it's words of wisdom.
No, it's true. It's college too. Like if I got 35 guys, I mean, some like me, they're playing. Some don't.
Right.
Not playing. And there's some that aren't sure yet.
The guys that are playing.
That's the way it is. That's life, right?
The guys that are playing, they like you. Put me in the lineup. I don't care who's the manager is. It could be Satan being the manager, but as long as I'm playing hitting third, I don't care. It's the other guys on the bench that don't get to play. Those are the ones that are usually upset. That's
right. I think it's a good spot here, Freddie, to talk about your experience with the World Baseball Classic and the USA Club. Was there? They seem very together. Like Mark DeRosa does a great job with them, and all the noise. I don't know if noise is the right word, but from all the organizations, the GMs, and coaching staff, about pitching especially, and how to use their players, has to be a challenge, right? It has to be.
Tim, that was, and I only heard secondhand from Mark because when we got closer to WBC, we met twice a week through Zoom or whatever. It was awful with the pitching and the demands that organizations gave him and Andy Pettit to protect. And you know what? We get it, right? It's pitching is a commodity. We just talked about it a couple of minutes ago, but we get it. But it was so much guidelines and so much demands, and that it didn't make it fun, and there was a couple of incidents where you scratch your head and you want to get mad, but then again, there's a lot of stake. For example, with Scooble, I only want to pitch one game, and I want to pitch. I think it was either Brazil or Great Britain, and I'm like, me being a competitor, I'm like, I can get 3 AAA guys to pitch against Brazil and Great Britain. I want you to pitch. I want you to pitch against Dominican or Venezuela or, one of those, Japan. But I get it. There's a lot of dollars and writing and those decisions. But that was the hardest thing. And you're right, Tim. Mark DeRosa did an incredible job.
Yeah,
getting these guys. First of all, recruiting them, because you got to recruit guys, right? And we were.
Yeah, they want to play.
They all want to play. They all want to hit third. They all want to play shortstop. And you ask a guy, well, can you move over to play second base? No, I'm not doing that. Can you play, center field? You're everyday center fielder, but guess what? We got Buxton and we got PCA in center. Can you play right field? No, I don't want to play right field. I'm a center fielder, and not all of them, because Buxton was the complete opposite. Bregman was the complete opposite. And he was like, yeah, whatever you want me to play. You want me to play short? I'll play short for a couple of innings. No big deal.
Yeah.
And it was great. But there was a lot of guys that were like, I don't want to move positions. I don't want to do these things. And, at the end of the day, wearing that, those 3 letters on your chest, USA, it doesn't matter where you should be proud of that and be put in the team. And I think in general, 98% of the guys were good with it, but the pitching wasn't difficult. And we could do a 2-hour show on that would have kept all the demands on. If he gets up and throws 20 pitches in a bullpen, then you can't use him the next day. If he finishes an inning with more than 12 pitches, you can't run him back out there the next day. And it was really hard. And I don't know. And again, being in player development, being a major league coach, and I want my guys to participate, and I also want to come back healthy, right? So you get both sides. But when you're competing at that level, it doesn't matter. It's let's go win games.
100%.
And we came close. And just our bats just didn't score runs.
Stops that,
right?
Venezuela pitched great. Is there a better time for it to hold it? It's hard to find it. People are talking about taking a 2-week All-Star break, which I don't think that solves any problems, because you have guys wear and tear a little bit already. You're not going to get any difference in the pitching unless they let you have more pitchers, right? I don't know if there's a better time.
It's all. And I'm glad you brought that up, because people go, well, the All-Star break. I go, well, there's going to be teams and they demanding well, we don't want our relievers, pitching 3 games, because they're already, they're already, we're already kind of backing them down for the playoffs or the starters. We don't want them to make another start. So it doesn't matter where they're in the beginning, the middle, the end. At the end, Tim, I had the opportunity to go to Japan about 4 years ago, maybe a little longer now, 5 years ago, with a kind of like a all-star team. It's like a traveling. We go to Japan with a really good position players group, and we brought almost AA, AAA pitching and this was at the end of the year, right? And because nobody gave permission for those guys, those top rated guys, to pitch another game or 2 at the end of the year. So it doesn't matter, what part of the year to do it. The only thing that matters is, like, listen, guys could get hurt tying their shoes. Let's roll the dice. Let's go all in. Let's try to, win a gold medal in the Olympics in 2 years. Let's try to win 2 WBC titles the next 2 times up, because that's important. And if somebody gets hurt, then that's just the nature of the beast. And that's easy for me to say, because we don't have a dog in the fight. But it is. We've seen it. I've seen guys get hurt just walking out from the bullpen, or coming in from the ballpark. And I think it was John Smoltz going back. I think he missed a start because he was ironing his shirt in the hotel, and he ironed his hand over. The ironer got it in his finger, and he couldn't pitch that night. So it's a roll of the dice, and for some people, it's a big roll of the dice, and I understand that also.
Yeah, it's a challenge, but it was exciting, and I think it meant a lot to folks in the USA, and obviously a lot to the people around the world, countries around the world. Take it really seriously. We're visiting here with the very impressive Fredi González. He's a good man, good baseball man. If you are enjoying straight lines and the conversations we're having, I would love to bring that same energy to your organization. I speak to teams, conferences, schools, and groups about leadership, resilience, and living a life that will cast a large shadow. If you're looking for someone who connects, encourages, and improves you real life stories that matter, I'm available for your keynote or special event. Please reach out to me at coachtimneiman.com. Be honored to serve your group. Back with Freddie, Skipper. I was always loved that. I got guys calling me Skipper and stuff, and
Yeah.
the big league soccer and professional baseball don't call me coach.
Yeah.
Skipper.
Right.
I'm a manager.
Right.
I know. And we're all doing the same stuff. But
Yeah.
I like the Skipper moniker. I like it.
Yeah.
And
It's
you are.
it's in baseball. It's I think that it's a long season, right? It's like a long journey, and I think that's how the name Skipper came up, as you being the captain or the manager of the team. It's a long journey and a launch and a big voyage, and people ask me, hey, how do you enjoy the season? I said, I'll tell you after the season how I enjoyed it, how I enjoyed that season. Because going through it, as we know, Tim, whether you're playing 162 games, you play 50, 60 games, it's a grind. It's a grind. So I tell people, hey, let's talk about the season, how I enjoyed it at the end of the season, in the off season.
That's right. It is a voyage, there's no doubt. And it's a long season, and college is you're always responsible 24/7. At least the pro ball, you still are too, but you still have men,
Right.
and not kids. So
Yeah.
I wanted to talk to some player development, which you're great at. What's missing today in player development? I'll give you an example. So I was doing the TV for the Reading Phillies at color 10, 12 years ago. And there's two things that stuck in my mind. Jesse Biddle, I don't know if you remember that name, ended up with Atlanta, actually, in a big one.
I know the name. Yeah.
High school draft, left-handed, good size, arm action okay for me. High, really like over the top. I mean, you don't see that very often. He was up top. Big high school curveball, 12-6. And the fastball would just come in straight, no movement. And I'm like, can't we just tilt him a little, change the arm angle, instead of from up here, all of a sudden we changed them on maybe a high 3/4. Let's get some run. Never happened. And then I did see him in a big league game with Atlanta, and somebody might have done that because all of a sudden we're getting a little arm side run, lefty. The curveball pro guys, even double A, just let it go. It's a high school curveball,
Right.
unless he hangs it. So the other example, they had a young man named Zach Collier, probably a 6'4" runner, at least, outfielder. He was 6 for 21 stolen bases, caught 15 times, 21
Wow.
attempts. I'm like, all right, so obviously speed's nice, but somebody needs to talk to him. And so I'm in the booth and like, give me 15 minutes.
Right.
What are you looking at? What are you reading? What are you thinking? And to me, I think if I was the czar of player development, I think I would. First of all, I wouldn't draft high school kids if you're not going to teach them, because as you know, it's different. I would put the teachers, the coaches, the specialists in rookie ball, spring training, maybe up to short season A, and then let them go. But to be able to teach them how to play, and I don't see that so much anymore. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Freddie?
Well, I agree with everything you said, and I think that's why and I was in player development and A ball, and I've had high school kids and college kids, and sometimes you get a mandate from the front office, hey, don't change this guy's arm action just yet.
True.
You have to give that little bit of time. Or the guy who just said that he's a 6'4" runner who doesn't steal any bases. Maybe he doesn't have any thievery in him. I don't know, but you could talk about that, right? You hit one of my, and I've never been in a position. I hope I get to be in a position here before I call it quits instead of somebody else telling me that I can't be in baseball anymore. Is I think that your better coaches has to be in the lower levels. For what you just said, the most experienced coaches, the better teachers have to be in the lower levels. And but for that case, you got to pay them, right? You can't have the best infield coach and give him $35,000 a year. That's not going to happen. That's where baseball is right now, and because that's where you do the most of the teaching. We're doing in the last 15 years, Tim. The more the fundamental teaching is done in the big leagues. First of all, because these kids get so quickly. Yeah, it's too late there. It's too late because I don't care how much progress you're making if you're not doing it on the field. If you're 6 for 21 stolen bases and you can run, you're not going to go 6 for 22. You're going back to the minor leagues, right? And so the guys are coming through systems so quickly to the big league level that you have to do. You're teaching in the big league level. You're doing the fundamentals in the big league levels, and I'm talking about when I say fundamentals is like, hit the cutoff man, where to throw the ball. The scoreboard dictates, where do you position, where you throw the ball, stay out of the big inning. Those kids come up to the big leagues and they don't know that. The pitchers are looking to see how hard they can throw it or how much spin they can put on it.
Yeah.
And I raised my hand and in a stack of Bibles, and I've been in bullpens in spring training in the big leagues, watching big league pitchers throw bullpens. With Edgertronics, Rapsodo, you name it. Trackman. There's 3 guys watching one bullpen with 3 iPads, 3 analytical guys. And I've seen guys throw a 10-minute bullpen session, and not once do they ask, was that a strike? Was that a strike? Was it that a strike? No. What's the spin rate? What is the tilt? How's my hand positioning on Edgertronic? And I'm like, let's this could be a strike.
Yeah, how about a strike?
How about a strike one? I think that the fundamental, and you see it in big league games at times. You see guys throw the ball, and you go, why are we throwing the ball at home plate here?
Yeah.
It's a 9th inning. We're up by 4, base hit to center with 2 outs. Why throw the ball to the plate? Just get the ball, throw to second base. Keep those, you know what I mean? But you see it all the time. Yeah, just keep the keep the double play in order, and just the little things like that are not being taught. They're being taught, and I don't know if there's a word for it. They're being taught in like one-on-one competition. The hitting, it's all about how hard you can swing.
Exit velocity.
Yeah, or exit velocity. They're not talking about hitting the ball to the right side with men on second base. They're not talking about, I'm not talking about giving yourself up, but I'm talking about driving the ball to the right side. Yeah. Same thing in the pitching. They don't care about, I thought it was Mike Rizzo from the former GM for the Nationals 2 years ago. Training kind of said, I don't care how fast you throw a ball 1, something like that. Or ball 4. And he got ridiculed for it, He got some pushback, and it's like, wait a second. But I've been fortunate to, as a coach in the big league levels, and that the managers that I work for let me put in systems, and I say, listen, I'll be the bad guy. I'll get in front of the video, and we did it in Baltimore for 5 years I was there. Every first game of the series, I would get videotapes. And it doesn't necessarily have to be your videos, but it could be somebody else's. There's always something going on in the league that you can learn from, whether it's a bad rundown play, whether it's a bad first and third play, a bunt defense that didn't go well. And I would talk about it, or even a rule. It took me 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes. And I would, when I had really nothing to do, I come up with a rule. And you wouldn't believe, well, you could probably believe this. You've been around. The guys in the major league levels, guys that have been 5, 6, 7 years in the big league level, you give them, you ask them about the infield fly rule. And nothing, they look at you like, what is that? What rule is that? So, I would go around and we talk about rules and talk about stuff that happen around the league, good things and bad things, but because you still have to develop in the major league level, because the guys are coming through so quickly in the minor leagues. And and I think you touched on it a little bit that you would never draft a high school player.
Unless you're going to teach them.
Right, unless you're going to teach them, unless you got to have a really good teaching organization. And I'm not going against you on this, but from what I noticed, the guys from the high school and high school level and college levels, the college guys are better prepared.
No doubt.
No doubt. They know how to bunt. They know how to put the ball in play. They know how to hit and run. And I'm talking about your average guy, not the top, not the Barry Bonds of the world or the Bob Horners.
Paul Skeens.
Yeah. But the college guys that played 3 years know how to play the game a lot better than the high school kids.
They do. There's another part, Freddie, to this. I'll throw a couple thoughts to you. So a mental part of the game, which I like to talk about. So all the games I've done in AA and AAA, I came to the conclusion of two simple things. If you're on the mound, don't they all get to 2 strikes? Every pitcher gets to 2 strikes. Then all of a sudden it's a full count. Then there's balls fought up. And they can't get you out. And those are the guys that can figure that out, go on to the next level. From a hitting side, they all can hit, or they wouldn't be there. But once they get to 2 strikes, what are you going to do? Do you have an approach? Do you have something? So there's that mental thought. I thought Dom Brown was a good example. Dom came through, got up to AA. I could have got him out, flipping him a curveball, knuckle curve at gravity level. But he made the adjustment next year and then moved up. Started with 2 strikes. Got to AAA, same thing happened. Can't hit with 2 strikes. Made an adjustment. Got to the big leagues. I said he'd be an all-star. He was an all-star, but didn't last.
Right. Well,
So,
he's still
one other
all-star.
example I want to give to you. So it's more the mental part. There's a kid, Aaron Altair, with Reading in the Phillies organization. Got to the big leagues a little bit. Big, lanky, good body. I think he was from Australia. I'm not sure. Germany. So, I always thought and watched him. I'm like, and watch him get himself out. What kind of hitter are you? Are you going to be a 25 run guy? Are you going to be a 35, 40 doubles, 10 triples guy? Because he could really run. So I always thought mentally he was caught between those things and never really figured it. In fact, his father was listening to the broadcast. Said, "Who's that guy talking about my son?" Sounds like he knows who he's talking about. I'd love that. I just want to ask him, look, what do you want to be? So if you want to hit 30 homers, then we'll hit 30 homers. You want to hit 300 with 35, 40 doubles? We can do that. And he got there. I always thought he was in his own way. He got to the big leagues and stick. Your thoughts on any of those things?
No, I would love to talk about that, because that's one of my favorite subjects, is the mental side of the game. The mental. I have really good friends. Jeff Miller used to be with the Phillies, and he's in the area here in New Jersey, and he's made a living in doing the mental skills stuff, and also I think I was really privileged as a young coach to cut my teeth with Harvey Worthman. For me, maybe the godfather of mental skills in professional sports, and I remember sitting there as a 28-year-old A-ball manager when the Marlins were first started, and listening to him in a room where there was like 14 of us coaches, and I hear this guy talk about mental skills and toughness and all those things that we're going to talk about a little bit, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me! What is this old man talking about this? Just go out and play the game. And fast forward throughout my career, and hell, now I'm an advocate. We need one in every level. We need a mental skills coach in every level to help these young men and women in the women's sport to get through a lot of stuff. I guarantee you that kid, you asked him that question. I don't know if you did actually ask him that question.
And then get you.
Yeah, and he probably doesn't even know the answer. He probably couldn't tell you. He probably, what he thinks, he's like, hey, 25. I'll be at 25 home run hitters. And I blame that a little bit on some of the coaching, right, and the organization, because for what now for the last 15 years, what have we heard? The three outcomes, right? Home runs, punch out, or walks. And I don't know whoever came up with that system, but he's probably thinking, hey, if I don't hit 25 home runs in the big leagues, I'm not going to be to the big leagues.
Right.
And but what's wrong with 35 doubles or 15 triples and hit 290? Yeah. What is wrong with that? But somehow our industry has kind of made that like, no, you don't need that. You don't need Luis Arraez, who's won 3 batting titles. You don't need him until you got 2 outs, man, on third base in the 8th inning, because he's gonna put the ball in play with a little single, and you're gonna win the game. He's not gonna strike out. But he can't get a job every year. It's always struggling because nobody believes in that sort of thing. I've had an analytical guru in my face with 3 coaches around tell me that Tony Gwynn and Wade Boggs would not be worth anything in today's game. And so after he left the room, I turned around. I go, I'm a little dense. This is what I heard, that these guys are not value in this game. And they go, yeah, Freddie, that's exactly what he said. And I'm like, oh, this is what we're dealing with. So the kid doesn't know if he's a 25 home run guy or a 35 doubles guys. And the coaches are going to tell him, no, I can make you a 25 home run guy. Right. And next thing you know, I don't know where the young man is now, probably out of a job.
He is.
Yeah. Out of a job.
He was in Korea last.
He played a little Korea. Yeah. And if he would have just gone, okay, 35 doubles, 12 triples, hit 300, drive in 90, he could have played for 10 years. And he could have probably done that. But, and I think we in our industry have fallen into the trap of thinking that everybody could hit 25 home runs in the big leagues. But, back to the mental skills stuff with the pitching, right? And that was my pet peeve. 0-2, ball 1, ball 2, foul ball, end up walking the guy. And then next thing you know, guys got 100 pitches in the 5th.
Right. See it all the time.
It happens all the time. And I think people teach they want the pitchers to strike out. And they're throwing their best pitches, and they're afraid of contact. They're afraid of giving the guys a swing the bat, make weak contact. My other favorite one is 2 quick outs, and you've seen this at every level. 2 quick outs.
Walk the next guy.
And here we go. Now you give up 3 runs, and then you're going, and that's all mental. That's mental. It's not toughness. Because I particularly asked Harvey Dorfman that question, and he goes, Freddie, it's human nature to go out there. You got 2 outs. You only need 3. You already got 2. You just kind of let your guard down. And the higher you go in classification, the harder it is for you to get that guard back up. Because by the time you go, baseball ball, I got to crank it up. Here comes Judge, right? Where if you would have had that same mentality, same concentration to get the 3rd out, Judge comes up as the leadoff hitter the next inning. He's not coming up with people on base. And he goes, that's stuff that the really, really good ones, they don't let themselves get the guard down. That Doc Holliday's, and it took him a long time. If you look at the stories in Toronto, it took him a long time, and for him to have that killer instinct or that concentration to finish those innings and not let the guard down.
Visiting here with the impressive skipper, Fredi González, having a great time so far. We got another segment to go, but he's got a legacy of his own right here. When the game is over, what will people remember about you? My book, What is Your Legacy? Challenges leaders, athletes, and everyday people to think about the scoreboard, beyond the score. It's about purpose, impact, and the mark you leave on others. If you're ready to define your legacy and live it with intention, this book will guide the way. Give your copy of What is Your Legacy today and start shaping the story only you can tell. You and I could cut this up all day long. This is so much fun. I mean, the development stuff, I'm a firm believer, if you ever get a job, man, let's go. Get those young kids, teach them how to play the game and surround yourself with people that can do that. Then they get into long season A, cut them loose, go learn the professional mindset and that stuff. But it doesn't do you any good if you don't know how to play, and you see it too
all the
much.
time.
And the
Tim,
organization.
I got a question for you. You said you
Yep.
do the Lehigh Valley games. How early
Yep.
do you get to the games to prepare for
2.5, 3 hours.
Okay, so you get a chance to watch a little batting practice, a little.
Oh yeah, always.
Yeah, and and I'm curious because I haven't been in the minor leagues in a long time, and have you seen how many times, how often you seen a team fundamental?
No, hardly ever. You see
Hardly
it
ever.
maybe a little bit in the early going, and as the season wanes, they may come out. I mean, I saw one of the clubs the other day come out with a bucket, sticking some ground balls. Okay, hey, we can do that during BP if you wanted to, but how about we turn double plays?
Right. How about
We'll see it all.
How about a cutoff for relays?
Never.
And when I first started, we had to do, and it only takes 15 minutes to do one fundamental, right? Hey, let's work on, and you don't see it anymore. I cut my teeth, and thank God I cut my teeth in the National League game because the pitchers not anymore. They hit. That's a totally different game. We worked on a team fundamental on the bunt defense once a week in the minor leagues just to cover it, and it takes 15 minutes to run 3 plays. Boom, boom, and gone. Go, and next day you run first and thirds, and next day you do cutoffs and relays, and fly ball priority and all that kind of stuff. When I see it, and I see it in the big leagues, and it just makes my skin crawl.
Yeah.
And you could tell a young coaching staff or a young manager is when they mess up a fly ball in the infield. The next day or the next day, if it's not a day game, the next day they got the machine up, hitting the fly balls. For me, as coaches, right, you're going, you know what? That's you being reactive instead of proactive, right? And that's one of the quickest way for you to lose credibility as a coach in this game, And I've learned as long as you, in the big league level, you could do it at the big league level because we have done it. As long as you schedule it out, right? It's like, hey, this homestand coming up, we're going to have PFPs, right? The guys don't complain. Guys come out and do the 50 minutes of PFP. Yeah, but when they complain, it's like all of a sudden one of the pitchers didn't cover first and messed up a PFP, and then on the schedule the next day is like, hey, we got 20 minutes of PFP tomorrow. That's come on, that doesn't work. But
and they come out for early work. They come out early work. That's cool. Individual stuff, great. And then right after that will be more 15 minutes of team stuff.
The team stuff that's going to help your team win games. The guys that are make less mistakes, give away less outs, are the teams that are going to win consistently and win more games.
Yeah, they're 100%. I wanted to touch on this last segment on your big league time. So the Marlins seem to be always rebuilding, but they also seem really good at developing young players, and they just can't afford to keep them, right? I mean, it seems that way. One of my former pitching coaches now oversees the pitching department from the big leagues to the rookie, and they're producing guys. Now, he's a velo guy, and when I was with him, I've always talked about, we need to command the ball a little bit, just a little. And I think he's evolved into this, and I had him on the podcast too, and we had a really good conversation. I think he understands it, but he's done a good job. But they have these guys; they've got arms. So with the Marlins, when you were there, did you see that kind of thing? Really good players just couldn't keep them. How frustrating is that?
Well, it was frustrating where as a manager in the big league level, and you get axed if you don't win games, and it's you see players that you're developed, the Hanley Ramirez, the Dan Uglas, Miguel Cabrera was my first year managing in the big leagues, and the next year we got traded to Detroit, and we know about his career, how that ended, and Triple Crown winner, Hall of Famer, the whole deal. I got to manage him 1 year. And so it's difficult, to handle that because you get judged by the wins and losses in the major leagues, but it's part of the game. I was thankful that the Marlins gave me the opportunity at the time to manage. I didn't think I was going to ever get to the big league as a coach. I did. I never thought I was going to manage one day in the big leagues, and I ended up managing 10 years. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that. But it's frustrating, and anybody who tells you differently, they're lying to you. Because you're so close, right? You're so close, and it's going to happen with the Pirates. With
Yeah.
schemes. And you're so close, and you develop them. Then all of a sudden, and it's all part of the rules, right? So after 6 years, you go walk, so they walk. But it's the Marlins. I don't know the Marlins now, Tim. I don't know them very, very much now. But I know when I was there prior and when I left and then when I came back, there was one guy there that was tremendous, and it was Stan Meek. He was a scout.
Okay.
And I think Stan has retired now. I think Stan was a scout in the Midwest, and he became the head of the scouting, the director. This guy had an eye for pitching, and he could scout pitching, from Josh Johnson to Sandy Alcantara to a lot of guys. But then you got to develop them, and you have to for them to stay healthy. But I think a good scout organization it's a godsend to be able to do that, to have that knack to get players. And then I think watching the Marlins, watching some teams and watching some of the other teams, I think the Marlins do a lot of fun, a lot of teaching, right?
They do.
And I think it pays off on the field, and they don't give. They stay out of the big innings. They don't give things away, and I think they just beat the Dodgers 2 out of 3, and that kid made a hell of a double play. I don't know if you saw it on television.
Yeah.
To end the game with the bases loaded, 1-run game, 1 out in the 9th, and the second baseman. I've never seen a double play like this before, and it was unbelievable. End of the game, and they walk out of there with a series win and beat the Dodgers, 3-2 in the 9th inning. I don't want to take time explaining it to you. You should look at it.
Oh,
You look at it it was just happened yesterday or the day before, and it was like I had to watch it 3 or 4 times from different angles because like this is like really good baseball IQ. So you watch it. So somebody had to teach that kid that, or had brought it up to that kid for him to in the moment of what was happening, he had the senses to do what he did.
it's fun stuff. You have the scouting, you have the player development, because only as good as the players you got. It's free agency in there. Not so much with a club like a Marlins. The missing element for those teams is money, and it's just sad.
Yeah.
How do you think the collective bargain agreement next one might look like? It's ending, obviously. I'm worried. I have a feeling there might be a walkout. What's your sense of that, Freddie?
Skipper, the only thing I know is what I read, and I read both sides are positioning themselves for a lockout or a walkout or whatever you want to call it, which is a shame because I think our game is healthy and its people has a lot of interest. And you touched on it with the WBC and worldwide. We played 6 games and it was 40,000 plus every game there in the WBC, And so there is a lot of interest in the world. And, at the end of the day, the fans are the ones that get hurt when these things happen. Just not knowing the details, because both sides, the owner sides are really, really smart people that have their own major league teams, and the player sides have a lot of smart lawyers that know what to do. I would wish to come together somehow. If we're going to have, and I've always said this, if we're going to have a salary cap, or they call it a tax, we need to have a floor. We need to have the guys like the Marlins and the Pirates, and to be able to spend money. And there's been cases on both sides where the lowest payroll has won World Series, or been in the playoffs, and then the highest payroll have not even made the playoffs. So there's cases on both sides. But I think whichever case it is, scouting and player development probably plays a big deal in those organizations. And then if you have the money, you can supplement pieces. I don't know. I'm hoping for the best, Skipper. I'm hoping that, smart people prevail and say, hey, listen, let's let's figure this out, and let's continue, you know, growing our game and playing baseball and playing baseball. I think at the end, the guys that lose are the fans, you know, and I didn't realize, well, I did, but I didn't realize until I think last year, no, about 3 years ago. No, it was last year. My wife and I go to the Phillies game, right? As a fan. Tim, I didn't realize how much money it is to go to, got 2 tickets, a couple of beers, a couple of hot dogs, a parking. Next thing you know, we come out of there dropping $500, you know, and I told my wife, I said, I've been in the big leagues 26 years. I didn't realize how expensive these it is, 2 tickets. I couldn't imagine a family of 4, you know, and so, you know, there goes my, I need to call some of my former players and coaches to get me on the pass list or something. Next time I want to watch the game.
You can't box the fans out. And I think hopefully people will understand that and the bargaining agreement. But I don't know. Money is a root of all evil, obviously. It's nice to have.
Right.
You know, I want to touch with you the Braves real quick. And, we'll kind of wind things down. So 2011 and 2016, transitional, right? Coming off the heyday with Bobby Cox, and then you know, transitioning into what they're doing now, or done the last 50. How was it for you? Who did you still have in the roster when you got there? And then who was coming in when you were gone?
I had a 2011 roster. I still had Chipper. I still had McCann. I had Jason Hayward in right field. Michael Bourne in the outfield. Pitching staff was Timmy Hudson. I had a really still good club, you know, and we made a hell of a run on it. I'm drawing a blank now. Some of the other guys. Freddie Freeman was a rookie that year, and I have here in my basement, and hopefully one day you get a chance to see it. I got lineup cards up, and it was my first year managing the Braves, and I got the lineup up. Some of my friends going, which Freeman is that? I go, that's Freddie Freeman. He goes, he's hitting 8th. I go, yeah, that was his, that was his first game in the big leagues. And I go, check out the lineup. Where do you want me to put him? He's a rookie, you know. And he goes, yeah, I guess that's, you know. I go, it didn't take me very long to move him up in the lineup after that. But
that's funny.
You know, Freddie Freeman hitting 8th, and that was a nice transition from managing the Marlins to go to the Braves, to managing a team that was been managed for I don't know 20-something years from a Hall of Famer and Bobby Cox, and it was fun. It was fun to take over that. Bobby was great, so supportive, never overshadowed me or anything like that. It was great to have him as a sounding board, you know, and it was really fun. The 2016 team, that was a team we were, I think in 15 and 16 we traded away a lot of good players, and we were doing a reset, you know, whatever word you want to use that these smart college guys come up with, a reset, a retool, you know, a soft opening, or whatever. Yeah, whatever it is. We were I think 9-27 and something like that when I got let go, and I came here with my wife, and I think I slept for like 4 days. You know, it was like, she goes, "You're okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, it was hard. It was hard," and I'm almost happy that. And that was the last time I had an opportunity to manage in the big leagues. I was almost happy. I'm glad it ended, because going through 140 or more of those games, it would have made me somebody that I wasn't or not. You know, when you go in there every day and you got to play so perfect to be able to maybe lose by 1 run, you know, or win by 1 run, and that we weren't that team at that time.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get another opportunity. You're too great a baseball guy and an even better human. And I think, those things are coming soon. We'll end it up here with the last question. I ask everybody, what does straight lines mean for Fredi González?
Well, I think straight line for me, and I've been thinking about it. Of all the stuff that you have sent me, that was the hardest one I have been thinking on. And I think at the end, Skipper, I think what it means to me is being honest, being true, having trust of your players, trusting your players, not during my career. What people think about me is more important to me than what my managerial record is. And I tell people, this is what I do. My profession is a managerial or coach in the big leagues. This is not who I am. I'm just a regular guy, and I want to be people that that see me. I want to be humble, and I don't want to come across as a jerk, or if I do, I apologize to anybody, because that's not my intention. So I think the straight line is all those things. And I'll, as a little guy playing 6 and under baseball and Corey League, it's like my dad would always tell me, you don't know who's watching.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't know who's watching, and you could be in the backfield someplace and make sure you give it your all, because that little old man sitting in the corner over there, he might be the owner or the president of some team, and you don't know who's watching. And you know what? He's so right about that.
Yeah, absolutely. That was fantastic, my friend. Fantastic. Thank you for joining me on Straight Lines, where leadership lessons meet the game of life. If you enjoyed today's show, share it with your friends and colleagues. Subscribe and connect with me on social media for more insights. If you want to dive deeper, check out my 2 books, What is Your Legacy and Team Killer. Please visit CoachTimNeiman.com. Check out the YouTube channel, the Neiman Legacy Network. Until next time, lead with clarity, play with purpose, and keep those lines straight. Skipper Fredi González, this was awesome. My honor to have you with me, and a great pleasure. We have so much more to talk about. So
Yeah, right.
we may have to come back and do this again sometime. But the time flies. But thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for the invitation. I had a great time, and I would love